Hey, what's shaking, guys and gals? Brad the Guitarist here. In this video, we are going to complete the service on this little amplifier that I pulled out of that reel-to-reel recorder recently. That was the subject of a previous video, which I will link down in the description. Game plan for now, I'm going to have to replace this pot because at the top of its range it's kind of squealing, and I also need to move it. And we're also going to put this chassis and everything in its brand new home. We'll put a 3-prong cord on it, put all the little final finishing touches, and of course we'll have to pick the box that we put this thing in as well. I also have a pretty good idea what I think I might put it in, and I think you guys might be surprised. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please stick around. Alright, I reckon a good place to start might be to just go ahead and remove this. But these little tabs right here, they just kind of straighten up, and then you should be able to just push it out like so. Something like that. Easy enough. The spring that serves as the shielding for all this wire that's running over to that pot, it's actually soldered in right there at that point, so we'll have to desolder that. Well, I guess another thing I could do actually is just clip that out of there. I'll just leave it. Yep, that's fine. We'll just leave it and clip it. Alright, good enough. Okay, now I want to take what remains here, and I basically want to run these wires back through it and run this from this area over to, again, over here to the middle somewhere. So yeah, see, from wiper to ground on this potentiometer is almost 650 ohms. See, this is 480, but that's way more like it. So I think this is gonna get rid of that squelch, hopefully, at the top of the range. All right, let's skip just ahead just a little bit. I have this thermos lunchbox from, I think this is around 1961. It depicts some moon base scenes, something like that. Well, I guess it's a moon base, or maybe Mars, because that looks like the moon right there. I don't know. At any rate, kind of this, space age kind of stuff around the Kennedy era, whenever we were all dreaming about moon bases and taking our commute, on a space shuttle. Cool old relic of, Cold War space age stuff going on here. There's a little lander with the little men down there. Pretty cool lunchbox. You had to be pretty cool probably if you took something like this to school, I would imagine. Thermos, brand, product, what does it say? The American Thermos Products, Norwich, Connecticut. This thing will just fit in here, even with the, I've kind of measured this all out, and this is going to fit. So, but what I need to do, I'm going to have to drill some holes where the tubes can come out the top of this thing. I kind of hate to drill in this thing, like I said, it is from the 60s, but what is this thing going to ever do? It's going to sit on some person's shelf, and they'll look at it every now and then. This is going to be a functional piece of art. So brainstorming at the moment, but this is going to be a really cool box, so this is kind of the game plan. Alright, pilot holes are drilled, and we're going to use a Christmas tree bit, and looks like 3/8 is what we need, so we'll drill to 3/8, which is what I pretty much said. Alright, so we're getting there. Okay, we're skipping ahead a little bit. We're mounting the transformer right now. We have a couple of holes drilled for that. We're actually not going to mount it yet. We're going to take it back out because we're going to have to drill the holes to accommodate the tubes in the top of this thing. And in order to do that, we're going to have to mark some spots. And this is kind of easier said than done. Instead of trying to measure this thing and sort of triangulate the positioning of each of these sockets, I'm actually going to take an implement, this little screwdriver, and drop it down this center hole here. That's actually kind of nice to have that. That's going to give me a guide and show me at least where these middle two are, and then I can take this chassis out and measure from, you know, the middle one to the edge one, because these are actually used as terminals on these outer ones. Alright, we have our pilot holes drilled here, and now it is time for our punch set. You can get these online. You can also get them at Harbor Freight, which is where I got these. It's actually a decent little set as long as you don't try to use them on a very thick chassis. If you use them on a thick chassis, you will bend these. Otherwise, they're actually pretty decent. You can get older ones that are much better, but these will work in most situations, especially with thinner metals. Okay, here's what a punch set looks like. It consists of this guy, which is basically, he does all the work. He's the punch. And then you have another die here that he slips into. That's the one that should be the size for a 12AX7. Now the little 7-pinners, miniature tubes, are a little bit too small, really, for this size. You can see it's going to be a lot of wiggle room left on the sides there. The 12AX7 is about right. It'll fit fairly snugly. But these miniature, these 7-pinners, you know, they've got a lot around the edges, so I really want it to be a little more snug than that, I think. So I'm going to use a combination of things. I'm going to use a Christmas tree bit for the 7-pinners, this one, and then I'm going to use this hole punch for the 12AX7s. Okay, I'm actually going to use the Christmas tree bit on all 4 of these because I need a 1/2-inch diameter pilot hole for the 12AX7s, and then the miniature tubes, the 7-pinners over here, I'm going to go all the way down with those. Alright, so the die goes on this side, or well, whichever side you want. And punch this, the teeth go toward the die. So you want it coming down in this manner. Alright, so basically you tighten that up as much as you can, finger tight. And then there we go. I think that's gotten through. There we go. And that's how it's done. But there's our piece of metal. Let's see if we can get that out without cutting ourselves. That's what you end up with. Alright, I've skipped ahead a little bit here and reinstalled the chassis to check the fit and everything, and came out okay. It's not 100% absolutely perfect, but it's actually pretty cool, I think. Okay, I suppose the thing to do now would be to take this chassis back out, because I did notice when I was putting these tubes in, you know, obviously there's only the front end of this amp where anything is attached. So when you try to press in on it, you know, the chassis will kind of bend on you. So I'm going to have to put some supports back here on this back edge. Another thing I need to do is install this power socket here, and I'm thinking I'm going to leave the breathing holes and try to get it down here in this area. This is the side of the Lunchbox where the power is, so I think I'm going to bring it in right here. And what we need to do is bust out the Dremel tool for this. so there's that part done. Came out okay. Okay, so it's a new day, and I've got some brackets installed in this thing. Actually cut that piece in half. What that is, that's off of a Hammond organ amplifier. I don't know what model. It's probably from an M series. But those are the. It was one of the little covers that covered the little back terminals on the amplifier, so you didn't, you know, reach in and touch anything. But that's what those are. So I've made these couple of feet that are attached to the chassis and will also attach to the side of the box. And I was drilling some holes and managed to drill into my finger. Look at this. Isn't that lovely? What happened was I had one of these pieces and I was drilling one of these holes. I forget which one, probably the side one, I think. But I was drilling through it and I thought I had clearance, but apparently I didn't have clearance. I didn't know my Victor, and I drilled through at the wrong angle or whatever, and it kind of took off on me and got my finger. So, ouch. I was able to turn this thing over. It was actually vibrating for a while. It was vibrating. Oh, dirty word. For a little while, and I turned it over, and I was able to actually get the vibration to decrease quite a bit by doing that. I also added another 47 microfarad capacitor in parallel here on this first node, which probably helped as well. Here's all the power stuff, which you haven't seen yet, and the output. Also changed the potentiometer that I had in the beginning from a 500 down to a 100K to tame down that stage and all the succeeding stages from there, because it was just way over the top, and it was you know, at the top of the range. Even with a 500K pod, it was just going crazy. Also added a 0.015 capacitor on the input in series here to keep any DC leakage, because I guess there was probably a low level of DC on this whole thing, and it was leaking back onto the guitar. So anytime you hit the guitar knob to turn it up or down, it was kind of getting that whoosh, 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 that scratchiness. So that stopped that. Changed this grid leak resistor on the first stage from a 1 meg down to a 220K to tame that down a little bit. And I mean, I really had to rein this thing in. This was like a Mustang gone wild. Again, with the brackets, the one that almost chopped my damn finger off. But yeah, man, you know, it came out pretty cool. It's all fitting in there, and it's not like it's, you know, too snug. There's plenty of breathing room, plenty of room to work. So I don't think you should ever have to even remove the chassis. What I think I may do though is for extra safety, instead of having just this thing, you know, latch like this with the little rinky-dink lunchbox latch, I think I might put something out like a screw or something, so that it doesn't come open accidentally. Which I can't imagine a scenario where somebody would be carrying this thing with it on, you know, and it accidentally came open with it on, and then they fell on it, and you'd have to be a real buffoon to have all that stuff happen. But I'm sure somebody will do it, and then it'll come back on me. So I may put a little screw or something in there, so we'll see. But yeah, so there are the guts. All right, dudes, here she is in all of her glory, in all of her finished glory. I may still do another tweak or two at some point, who knows, but she's pretty much home. I like the way it came out, cosmetically at least. I mean, I've got some feet on there, little rubber feet. I mean, you often hear about Lunchbox amplifiers. Well, this is the real deal. It's an actual Lunchbox amplifier. I need to get some cleaning solution after somebody, looks like somebody had their name tag or something on there. How cute is that? There's another little bit of name tag or something there, maybe. No. Yeah, whatever it is. No, that's a cloud in the graphic. But yeah, man, I like this Lunchbox. I kind of hated to start drilling holes in this thing, but I do have to say, I kind of believe it's worth it in the end. I looked it up on eBay. When I first got this thing, I got this thing at a Goodwill, and it had an airbrush system, like a whole airbrush system in there. It had the airbrush and all the little accoutrements for doing airbrush work. And I'm not an airbrush artist, so I took that stuff out of this thing and sold it separately, and I think I made like 10 times, or I mean something stupid, or 100 times what I paid for the whole kit and caboodle. I think I gave like $5 honestly for this whole thing with the airbrush stuff inside of it. And like I said, sold the airbrush stuff separately and ended up just kind of putting this on the shelf, and I had it full of just random stuff like loose bits of wire and things, I think is what I had in there. But I do think it came out okay. Let's give it a listen, and then we're gonna listen to whatever was on that tape, because originally this was a reel-to-reel tape recorder amplifier, and we had a tape with that, so we're gonna listen to that too. So stick around for that at the end. And one final little cool thing about this, your power cord, when you're not using this thing, that'll fit right down inside of it, so that's cool. Okay, let's see what kind of tones I can get out of this thing. Getting a lot of noise because I'm kind of close to this thing. This is a Telecaster, single coil pickups. I really need to be further away from it, but I can't get it in the shot at the same time, so this is kind of what we're left to deal with here. can tell there, it's really, I mean, when you crank it all the way up, it's really right at the edge of just total compression, and it's really almost fuzz-facey with the amount of compression and fuzz that it's got going on. And again, you know, being this close to this thing, it's almost too much. You know, I need a longer cord, with better shielding. Less of this fluorescent lighting would probably also help a little bit, but the further away from it you get, it gets pretty quiet. So I'm confident. So. Just go away and have a bite, you know, and come back. But yeah, let's check out what is on that mysterious tape now. I can't wait to get to that. You guys are pretty much, you've heard all this crap, so. Okay, let's check out this tape. This may or may not work very well. This is a stereo system, and that original one was mono, so we'll see how it works. Well, that's obviously too slow, so. It's weird, it actually sounds like there's multiple layers of stuff. Like this tape was once recorded on stereo, and then somebody recorded it with mono, and maybe there was there were strips on the outside or something that, you know, weren't picked up by the other head on that other tape deck or something. I don't know.
Cindy, get along home. Oh, get along home, home, Cindy. Goodbye, like the king. If I had a nickel, I'd treat it like a dime. I think you cut me off. You don't get much of that singing every day, and I'll let you know it. Well, here we go again on that there. I don't know too much about that get along old Cindy, so I'll get on something else. You get a line and I'll get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad's hole, honey, babe of mine. You get a line and I'll get a pole, baby. You get a line and I'll get a pole. We'll go down in the crawdad's hole, honey, babe. be mine. That mine in my old age when I had no fishing. Oh, going down. That old called egg hole. Fishing and going out to the line. What do you want to do here now? Want to turn this off or we go around here again?
I would always put that on.
Make it rain!